Hello, my friends. Welcome back. All right, let's get back to it. First thing I want to do is reshape the shoulder here a little bit. I feel like the neck's a little too long. So all we're going to do here is take a little white, kind of come in here and just put a little bit of paint to cover that dark area up. Then come into some black here. Reshape that where that sleeve is a little bit. Let's get a little pouring medium in there. So it's smooth, flows a little smoother. And I'll take a little sienna. Work some of that in there. Have a little bit more of a wing in the background here as well. Take some of that cad green. Just put in a few little hints of some bushes coming down here. Go into that olive, get a little bit on the edge. Get some in there too. Alright. Now let's go ahead. Let's get the white, this white area kind of recovered on our wings. This titanium white, thin it just a little bit, not a whole lot. Pull that up to the corner. All we're really doing here is kind of going over the areas where the color in the background came over in the little pieces of the wing. Not the pieces of the wing, but what's the word I'm looking for? The more opaque parts of the wings. That's the word I'm looking for. Got a little white paint from the shoulder around my hand there. And it's okay if it's not perfectly straight, and if you can still see through it some. Kind of adds to the effect of having gossamer Fae wings. I'll get a few little things in down here. And be careful because that little plant, what's the word I'm looking for? That paint that we put in for the plants in the background is still kind of wet, so it'll blend pretty easy. Okay. Now I think I'm going to take a little bit of that light blue, a touch of that olive green, and a lot of thinner. Really thin it down. And just get a little bit of it onto that brush. And just ever so gently brush in a little color highlight into some areas here. Careful you don't get too much of that white in there. I picked up a little bit. That's alright though. We can smooth it out. There. Down here. Clean that paint out. Get a little bit of our purple. Brighten it with a little white. And again, lots of that liquid flow medium. Then just a little bit on the brush again. Arc a little purple into these wings. Heck, let's take a little red in there too. Clean it off mostly. Just grab a little bit. And kind of right at the top. If you go over your white some, that's all right. Let's go ahead and go over some of that white with it. Heck, let's even take a little bit of our blue thinned out. And in between the purple and green. Little blue just to kind of join that purple and green together. I'll get a smaller brush here. Go back in the white. It was too much I had on that brush. I'm just gonna whiten some of those areas with that red back up. It got a little too much of the red in there, I feel like. I'm going to take a fan brush. With just a little bit of white. And just very gently put a little texture in the wings. Now we have our color and our texture, and you can see why I had the background kind of blended out there. I do see a little area up there I need to fix, so I need to get some brown and black. And touch that little spot up there. And I think I'm going to mix a little blue into it. Just there we go. Then that opaque part of the wing out a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that in here. All that in here, in here, in here. Okay, one thing I am going to do before we go any further is I need to do a little work on her eyes here. Mainly these lines above that are a little thick, a little misshapen. And I also want to thicken these lashes some. Okay, now some white, a little bit of red, a little bit of sienna. Thin that line there up. Thin that line there up. Get a little more weight in there, I think. Need a little color around that. Okay. Alright, I think I'm good there. Let's go ahead and get into this other wing area now. That was too much white. Let's see if that matches pretty well. Yeah, that'll work just fine for the sky. Maybe get parts of this wing in now. So, brown and black. So before we put in that part, let's put in the areas between the wings. A little bit here. So that they don't get lost in the shuffle. Get a little more black in that brown. There we go. Okay. Get a little fan brush again. Green. Ooh, I didn't want to mix that right on that white. But a little bit of that green and brown mixed. You had some vegetation floating around in there. Some of those rocks. Go right in that green now. A little more color. And into the olive green. Go right in that. I actually think I need a little more of that sky color right in there. That one didn't go all the way up. Now I'll just take a little white. Pass a little that gray in. A little more white though. It's a little too bright. There we go. Heck. Make it work. Let's get a little thicker. Touch of blue there to work into it. And some white again. Bring it all kind of together. I need some more sky color though. I want to reshape that wing some. Definitely need more blue and a little more white. There we go. I want to get some more of that land in there. We'll just put those little white jobbies in when we get to that side. But now let's grab some black and brown. A little more brown in there. Let's mix into that blue a little bit, which is why I keep having to add more brown. I wasn't paying enough attention. Oh, I think I actually might have painted over one of my wings a little bit there. That's okay. We need some of that color showing through anyway, don't we? Now I definitely need more black in there. Some more of that black and brown. Fill in those wing spaces. I got too much of that thinning medium in, so we'll add some more paint. Pull that texture some. Guess it won't really matter too much since we're gonna have like the same kind of colors going over it. We'll get some green in there for the vegetation. Doing it the same way we did the other side, trying to follow the what's the word I'm looking for, dang it? The texture of the wings. I need to bring these in a little further. Okay. We'll get some green again. Come up here. Actually, before we do that, let's get our palette knife. A little cyan on it. Some of those areas where we want to have the wing. Get a little texture in the rock first. Okay. Now we can get our fan brush. Get some green in there. A little bit of olive. I'm going to take a little white. Kind of decide where this thing that we got to paint back in goes. I'm thinking start about here. Turn about there. Okay. It's getting a little twisty. That's all right. Maybe it ends right about there. Okay, that looks pretty even. We'll put you away now. I'm brushing some sand in some of these spots again, following the texture of the wing. Let's get a little black in some of these areas too. Get our little soft green. Then we'll olive on some of them too. And again, yeah, these are inside the wings. These aren't, but the rest of these are. So that's why there's no detail to it, because it's going to be, like I said in the first part of this, kind of like a frosted glass. As you can see when we have the colors from the wings over it. Okay, I think I want to reshape this water a little bit. It's coming down. Not too much though. At first I was going to redo a lot of it because I thought it kind of looked like a veil. Then I decided I kind of liked that idea. Almost like she's the bride of this forest. So we're just going to add a little more in here and there. Just a couple of spots. Not a whole lot though. Just kind of like that. And we can add some little foam and splashies in a few more areas here. A little more there around that rock. Now notice that foam and splashes almost looks like there's some flowers in a veil. Okay, put you back. I feel like I need to extend these out a little bit too, get a little more even. I'm gonna clean the brush. I'm gonna go into some white. And just put another little layer there. Okay, real quick here. There's too much shade on the nose ring there. So I'm just going to get a little white. That's too much. There we go. Skirt over some of that shadow a little bit. That looks better. Put a little more. Put a little more here as well. Okay. Now I think it's time. I'm gonna do a little more face work here. Not a whole lot. Well, I don't have a lot of room to work with on this paper, do I? Might have to take a short break just to let all that thin paint dry out. All right, I want to brighten up this little area here a little bit. Needs more white still. That should work. There we go. And a little black to kind of smooth that out. Oh no, that's the wrong one. We want this brighter one up here. Alright. Down here. Okay, let's actually do a little Let's do a little work on her hair here. I'm gonna take a lot of white, leave a little hint of that red in there. I'm gonna add a little yellow. That was too much. There, that should work. It might be a little bit too golden yellow, so that's an easy fix though. Just clean the brush, get some white. Work that white red into it there. Alright. Now we'll get some sienna in there. And some brown. Yeah, I think I'll take a little black as well. Desaturate some of this a little bit. The same over there, over here. Yeah, a little bit. And work a little black into it again. More shadow into some of those areas. Then brighten that up with some white. Some highlights. Then a little more white. And then just get a little bit of paint. Then we're getting a little brown in there. More brown down here. A little in here. A little more in there. All right, I'm going to leave the hair alone for now. Let's go ahead and take a palette knife, scrape off the wet paint so we have a little more area to work with. Might not be able to get it all off, but should get enough off. where it won't necessarily affect your color values that much. Not enough to be an issue anyway. Alright. I think I need some more white paint down there. All that stuff looks a little colored. There we go. Alright. Kind of over here. Some white. A little bit of red. A little hint of sienna. And some more white. Let's see where we want to start. We'll start here. Starting on the neckline. Kind of faded into that hair a little bit. That shoulder went a little too far out there, so that's all right. Actually, I probably didn't because, yeah, you know what, I didn't, and I'll show you why. Because her sleeves are going to be pretty translucent. So we'll get her general shape of her arms painted in here. I don't know where that dark paint's from, but I picked a little up, but I'm really not too worried about it, since, like I said, her sleeves are... I'm gonna cover most of that color up. We're just right now getting the color of her arm skin in. Let's see, let's actually bring that in a little more there. Again, got a little shade there, but I'm not sweating it too much. Since her sleeves are going to be coming over this. In fact, I want to get a little more brown in here. Where her sleeves are. There shouldn't be that white coming through. Okay. I feel like that neck shadow's a little strong, so kind of want to try to blend it in a little bit. I'll keep it strongest right under the chin there. And then I'm going to take a little more of this over here. Paint that in. All right. Now we're gonna get black. Oh, green. Let's do a little bit of both greens in with that black, shall we? That ain't gonna work too well. Let's thin that up. The brush might be the issue. We need more green in that black. I'm not going to use you. You don't want to cooperate very well. Let's see how you do. Nope, too scratchy. Try this feller now. This might actually be the same one we did the last time. I don't know. No, this one seems to be cooperating with us for the most part. Going over a slightly smaller brush now. I think I need more paint. Oop, got a little red in there accidentally, so I'll have to add some more green to cancel that out. Even those lines out. Right here, just trying to pull some texture out. Let's get a little more of that. Let's thin this arm up here a little bit too. There we go. Clean this edge up over here a little bit. Now, yeah, we can put our strap in. Okay, let's take a little that green in here now. Whisk in some highlights. Take a little, just a little olive green. That wasn't enough, was it? There we go. A little olive green and do the same. A little more. There we go. Just kind of get a forest theme on it. All right. Now we're gonna need to to really mix down a dark green color. A little more black in there. Let's go ahead and a little hint of some frills on that strap. And then let's get a thin brush of black. Oh, that brush is a little too stiff, maybe. You know that my paint isn't thin enough, so let's thin that paint some. Let's try that again with that black coming right down. And add a few shadows into that fabric. All right, probably not quite thin enough, so we'll thin it even more. There, that should work. And we'll start over this arm here. That might be a little too light. Let's get a little more black in there. There we go. And we do want a little of that arm color peeking through. Not a whole lot though, but enough that you can tell, you know. It's a sleeve she's wearing. It's somewhat sheer. I'm just trying to smooth it out. A little variation is okay, but we don't want a whole lot. I think that'll work. Maybe a little more touch up right in here. Wrong brush. Well, maybe. Maybe we'll get a little. Now we'll get a little fabric shading in there. Some of that black showing for the sheer to give it a little texture. And then I'll get a little skin color mixed in there because that got too dark. There, that looks better. Black right there to smooth that out some. Alright, now we can do the other side. Well, actually, first let's get a little more shadow back in there. Okay. Now we can do the other side. It's a little too thick. Let's get a wet brush to do it. There we go. Thinner up again. And put a little bit of that skin color back into. I'll get a little black in here again. Put in some fabric texture. Getting a little more. Get a little more foresty vibe in her dress here. Okay, now I need a small brush. Need a little brown in that skin color. Blend out. Strands of hair. I think that one came down a little too far, so let's mix up a little skin tone. White must have still been wet. Where'd I put my palette knife now? Oh, put you right there, sir. Okay, so let's try this again. Some white. Nope. How about that? There we go. White. And a touch of red. Oh, I think actually if I just put a little white on there and smooth it out. That'll work. No, it won't. Still a little dark. And brush that off with the finger. There we go. Okay. I want to get a little highlight on some of these streaks of hair. A few more things in here. Okay. Now I need to put in the locket that she's wearing. Get some gold or some yellow, burnt sienna to make some gold. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just get some burnt sienna, that skin color, so we can make the shadow for the chain. That needs to be a little darker, doesn't it? Yep. We'll start about right here. Get a little more shadow. Oh, we also need a little shadow on her. Shadow and highlights on her chest there, don't we? I almost forgot about that. That wouldn't be very smart. Well, really lighten up that skin color. Add a little more red to it. A lot more white. white yet. Actually, let's just leave that color on the brush and add some white. Let's clean that brush. A different part of my towel here. It doesn't have wet paint on it. All right. Get some white again. There we go. Clean that off. Soften the edge. Okay. Need a little bit right in here. And we got some dark in there again. What the blue blazes. Let's work the white into it. And again, soften out those edges. And then we got one more. Where you at? Then once again, clean the brush. Soften those edges. Let's get a little sienna in there. A little shadow in a few spots too. Went over the dress, didn't want to do that, so we'll just get a little black and boop, boop, clean it right up. Okay. Alright, now we can go back. I think I want a little more. It's a little more copper. Let's get a little white in there. I got some green too. Dang it, I did not want that. More yellow. We'll just drown it out with the other colors. There. Okay, now we got our bright color for the chain that we could. Not bright enough. There. Now we can even add black to some of that for a real nice shade. Get a smaller brush though, like you will do. Pulling over that a little bit because it's got some paint texture in it. That I don't want. That brush isn't doing the trick, is she? You won't either. I bet this little fella will. There we go. And I'll get a little bit of that off again. Okay. Now Now we can paint in that locket. Let's start with that dark color again. Add a little more brown to it, I think. Now a lighter color. Let's get a little more yellow in there. White. Got some light, some highlights in there. Got a little shadow on it too. A few more little highlights I want. Make a little silver color for the other side. I made a little more black in there, yeah. And then since that's wet, I'll just take a little white, loosen it up too. Add some highlights to it. Okay. All that's left now is to finish up this wing. We're going to take a short break, let everything dry, and we'll be back to finish it off.